Today, Precarious plays
Deus Ex, Mankind Divided. 1,000 years from now, I just feel like action, inaction, success, failure, it's all gonna look pretty similar. You know what I mean?
It depends on what scale.
Futility. At first, like whenever I was in college, I had, for a brief time, this feeling of ennui.
Yeah.
It didn't take me long though, and I don't know, maybe this was just a rationalization on my part. It didn't take me long to think like, well no, it's kind of good, right? Because it's like, that just frees you, if nothing matters, right? If everything is finite and nothing matters, then you can just focus on the stuff that you personally find fulfilling. Mm-hmm. It's a license to, like, the rules that I play by now for myself, it's in this order: minimize harm and have a good time.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a much more poetical way to talk about that.
No, I don't care.
You finish your point.
Because I eventually learned that this is like so many thoughts, this is nothing new. I'm pretty sure that there's like a whole school of philosophy that I effectively reinvented for myself. Mm-hmm. And on the one hand, it's like, I guess all the good ideas really are taken. On the other hand, it's like...
Well, I'm in good company.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a little less isolating, I suppose. But really, what I'm trying to say here as I stare at this monument of just like the failure of people, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I want to have a Lagombi on my co-op team, it's fine, you dicks. Lagombi is a great monstie. You guys can go to hell.
I did not know where you were going with this. And I literally have a poem that I'm not going to use now.
Lagombi sparks joy.
No, you know what? There is a poem, and it's called Wild Geese.
Yeah.
And I can't remember it, but you know what? Because of that shock, I'm going to put you through it. So this is a poetry reading now.
Cool.
You deserve it. Man, I don't know why people so strongly dislike poetry readings. Like, people make fun of poetry readings a lot.
People just make fun of poetry.
Yeah.
A lot.
Why? It's fun and weird.
Well, I think that a part of it has to do with the way, at least for our generation, the way it's taught in public school. Because it's a really frustrating process, and I think that one of the things that I was taught early on is that poetry is old. Poetry is a very rigid way of expressing an idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But then later on, you learn that it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. And in my mind, that's actually kind of damaging, because then you wind up looking at a lot of poetry. And I mean, a lot of times my first thought, even if I'm intentionally being obstinate, I'll look at some poetry and I'll be like, free verse, doesn't even rhyme. Get out of here with that. Try harder, nerd.
Ugh.
If you can't express your feelings in a way,
in a 1,000-year-old format,
it doesn't rhyme.
Don't even talk to me.
Yeah, wasting my time with this non-rhyming garbage. Or, I mean, also, I think it's also really funny that people are pretty down on poetry, but they love music.
Oh, yeah. That's rich. That's especially rich.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, the mouth noises are fine, but we're going to be pretentious about this.
The long story short, I don't go out of my way to engage with poetry, but I don't normally disparage it either.
I let poetry find me.
How very appropriately poetical, you fucking dork. Read your bird poem.
I'm not going to read you the whole thing because it's not relevant.
Damn it.
It's too long. Well, okay, maybe I will. It'll take us a time to get back upstairs, so I'll just read you. No, I'm not going to read you the whole thing. The first section of it, and this doesn't rhyme, and it's contemporary, so fuck you.
All right. Yeah.
You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves.
That's nice.
It's nice.
It's nice.
It's nice.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is along the same lines. And the poem's called Wild Geese.
You know what I think that the big difference is? I think that it's an issue of marketing.
Yeah.
And I think that the difference between, instead of calling it a poem, if it was just sort of like a lyrical speech.
Or a good word stack.
just a good old-fashioned word stack.
A tasty word snack. That's what I think of.
It's a snack stack. Or
yeah.
No, it's a word snack pack.
It's a word snack pack. Yes,
Yeah.
It's like concentrated. It's like the Doritos of feelings with words. Like
Yeah.
every time I find a poem that I like, it's usually, even the longer ones, it's usually because it's like been simmered down to the most essential word nuggets that make the brain tickle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing that's weird about poetry, is that because nothing matters, let's go watch TV.
Yeah.
Lots of people have been raised and experienced language in a variety of different ways, even when they're from the same geographical area. So the poetry you like becomes really personal. Really, really personal. And then the poetry that you write is also deeply personal. So it's like this weird secret code of connecting with other people, almost. Because if you find the people that like the poems that you like, you're like, oh, something tickled your brain about that also tickled my brain about that. How interesting that we have that in common.
I want to address that very briefly.
Mm-hmm.
That particular, it's Rick and Morty
Yeah.
quote, right?
Yeah.
I want to address that just because, while I agree with what I believe the sentiment to be, I do think that it's presented in kind of a dangerous way because I think it omitted an important footnote.
Yeah.
Because the quote is not like nothing really matters. We're all gonna die. Let's go watch TV. Is that it? Is that the
I think it's something like,
quote?
if it's not that, it's within a word, you know?
It's really important to my way of thinking. Nothing really matters unless you want it to.
Yeah.
It's a critical distinction because it's the difference between, well, nothing really matters, so I guess I'm just going to start harvesting organs from living people, right? That's how you justify some really terrible stuff.
Well, yeah, and when I'm feeling really existential,
Yeah.
that's the problem I have. The problem that I have is like, how do you decide what matters to you? Which is why I like the Wild Geese poem. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, just listen closely. Listen closely to whatever that weird, soft creature that runs your brain, that's piloting your meat suit, needs, and see if that is available without harming anybody, you know?
Yeah, well, that's why I have a two-step filter. I have this two-step process where it's like minimize harm,
Yeah.
be happy.
Minimize harm, be happy.
Yeah, well, because I mean, I don't know. This is very much a problem that we're all experiencing, at least, where we live right now, where people are not recognizing that your personal liberty ends where someone else's begins.
Yeah.
So, is that traversable?
I don't know.
Materials?
It's tempting, though. It looks.
But your personal liberty ends where someone else's begins, because that's all that prevents people from, like, there's that adage where it's like, in the country we live in, the idea of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness is a big cultural standby.
Yeah.
Everyone is entitled to try to better their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think very many people would seriously entertain the idea of, like, which also entitles you, if you think that your neighbor has gold doubloons that they've hidden away surgically in their chest cavity, that you're allowed to go to town trying to get them out of there.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't think that anybody would seriously be like, oh yeah, that's reasonable.
I mean, there are certainly pieces of law that are like, don't do a murder. I don't care. Like, don't do a murder.
Yeah, and I think if you frame it in an over-the-top context like that,
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's illuminating.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now it's like, yeah, man, I get it. You don't want to take your medicine. That's fine. But if you don't, a foreign agent might use your body as a breeding ground for something more dangerous. That affects people outside yourself.
Yeah.
You know? So it's the same kind of thing where it's if you reframed it, what the hell?
Hello, you can't be there.
That's like the one place you can't be. I think she knows. I think she's looking for attention.
I'll pet the dog. Hey, buddy. I'm doing the worst pats.
If you reframe it in most other contexts, it doesn't really pass muster.
Yeah.
Because it's a situation. Oh, why that window? Can I get through there?
Can you get through? Yeah, you got those retractable legs.
Can I move this device somehow?
No.
Maybe you don't need to. Maybe I can just go around on the outside. Hate it. Not a fan. Okay.
Follow the soft animal of your body to better ground. You know what? This whole surface is probably on a precipice and about to blow over like a leaf in the next storm. So nowhere is safe.
Huh.
Oh,
that's nice.
That's good. Is it projected or is it graffitied? Either way.
I'll jump in front of it, and I will be able to check it that way.
Okay. Sorry. You drew my attention to the heights, and now I can't not see them.
Yeah. If I just show you this part, we could be on flat ground.
Yeah, we could be anywhere.
We could be at sea level.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, if anybody was like, I have a God-given right to grow deadly wasps in my body, like the pain from Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. And I don't control them. I don't exhibit the same control over them that the pain does, but I have the right to just put them out in the world. I think that very few people would make that argument.
Yeah.
What did I miss in the interior? Was there a window? Was there a door? It was just a door? Oh, it was here, not up there. Okay, so that was a kind of red herring. I just didn't see the door. Neat.
Oh.
I hate this future conception of a monitor.
I don't like how streaky it is.
I would not want a monitor that is transparent in that way.
Yeah, it does not seem very practical for most office situations. Oh. Well.
What?
I was just thinking about poetry readings more. Because poetry is weird and good. I do have to say that I think one of the reasons people make fun of poetry so much is that when it affects you, it kind of does a mind control, it puts stuff in your brain in a very sudden way. So I don't think people like being vulnerable in that way. I don't always like being vulnerable in that way.
I wonder if that feeling, I very rarely experience that just because I'm generally resilient to external forces like that. Mm-hmm. Like I'm really marketing resistant.
Yeah.
For example. But the last time I can remember really being sort of swept along in the current of somebody else's
emotion.
Art, it was watching a Bo Burnham special.
Oh.
And I've actually I don't look at his work anymore because I don't like that feeling. I didn't like the psychic control that he exerted.
Yeah.
By the end of that performance.
Because
it got to the point, there was like a fever pitch where I was like, if Bo Burnham told me to go murder someone right now, I'd consider it. I'd strongly consider. Like if that performance had ended with a big emotional part, and then it was like, and then kill the president, and then I'd be like, oh no, where do I get a rifle?
Oh my god.
Where am I gonna get a gun at this hour?
Well,
better get started.
I have not sworn off the Bo Burnham, and I can tell you he has not gotten less effective. And that is all I'll say, because, but, I have to be in a certain mood to be able to deal with poetry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when somebody says poetry, it does feel like you're entering into dangerous territory, because it could be about anything. And there is, like, a poetry hour. There was, like, I can't remember. There are, like, these mini segments that NPR and, like, other podcasts and things do that, like, oh, what is the name? Oh, no, I can't remember the name of the segment, and I've listened to it probably my whole life. That's bad.
You know, now that we're not in town anymore... Okay, that's how you reload.
Well...
No.
They had a poetry segment, and I started to get into the habit of turning the radio off immediately when it came on, but not because I didn't like it. It was just, it would often come on when I'm like, nope, not ready for that emotional payload, because like half of the time I would cry. Like half of the, solidly 50% of poems read on NPR in that tiny segment would just make me cry. Nope. And I'm like, I'm driving to get the groceries. I need shit tickets. Like, leave my emotions out of this.
You know, just one of those days where you just trying to buy some toilet paper, and then you just end up using all of the toilet paper on your tears.
Yeah.